Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Coach Drink, the Missouri Tigers, getting active in the transfer portal, landing another commitment from the portal and running back Marcus Carroll, the fourth best running back in the transfer portal, according to 24/7 Sports, in an absolute production machine. You take a look back at his time at Georgia State in 2023, 1,300 yards, 13 touchdowns, 757 of those yards after contact. You look at how Marcus Carroll fits into this Missouri Tigers program. It kind of reminds you of Cody Schrader and how he ran the football, right? Good burst, no nonsense, getting downhill, bouncing off tackles. Am I saying Marcus Carroll is going to have the season Cody Schrader had for the Missouri Tigers in 2023? Not necessarily, because that was one of the more special seasons we've seen from a running back in the SEC conference. That being said, Marcus Carroll going to be productive for this Missouri offense. Want to talk Marcus Carroll. Also wanted to go back and talk about Torrence Pride because we haven't gotten a chance to talk about him yet. One of my favorite prospects in the transfer portal. And then talk about a few other targets for the Missouri Tigers before we get into it. Just want to say thank you to you guys. And for the Missouri fans, it was a blast talking this team throughout the 2023 season. Absolute, one of the more fun programs to watch over the course of the year. The amount of support you guys have shown the boys means a lot. Going to be trying to keep you guys as updated as possible with all the transfer portal moves for the Missouri Tigers. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, the support you guys have shown, it means a lot. I love doing this. I'm able to do it because of the support you guys show. And without further ado, let's get into Marcus Carroll. And 5'10", 210 pounds from a physical tool set kind of perspective. He has a thick lower half that allows him to have phenomenal contact balance. And what I love most about Marcus Carroll, after turning on the film a little bit, like downhill, like there's no nonsense in his running game. When he sees a hole, he's hitting it. He's bouncing off tackles, has some nice breakaway speed as well. And looking throughout the last couple of his games, you go back to the LSU game. He had a really nice game against LSU, ran for 87 yards, also caught for 50-plus receiving yards. A guy that can make it happen out of the backfield, run between the tackles, and kind of fits that Cody Schrader mold of a guy that is going to be able to be a workhorse in this Missouri offense. 274 carries in 2023 for Marcus Carroll. I mean, an absolute workhorse. And you think he'll be a workhorse in the SEC as well. And we all know this. Coach Drink evaluating running backs in the transfer portal, the job he did in grabbing Cody Schrader and bringing him into this program. You gotta trust the staff here and trust in the evaluation of Marcus Carroll, making that jump from Georgia State to that SEC level. Looking at some other advanced numbers, we already talked about 757 yards after contact, also forced 45 missed tackles. And comparing that number to Cody Schrader had 788 yards after contact, 42 missed tackles. So you're getting kind of similar production, albeit Cody Schrader did it in the SEC conference. Marcus Carroll, very similar game to Cody Schrader in terms of being a little bit of a muscle hamster guy, thick lower half, bouncing off tackles, really nice change of direction in terms of making people miss. I'd encourage Missouri fans to go check Marcus Carroll's tape out because it is very fun. It gets you excited about what that might look like in this Missouri offense. And want to turn our attention to Torrence Pride, right? You get a really good running back, one of the more sought-after running backs in the transfer portal. Missouri Tigers, about a week ago, go out and get one of the more sought-after cornerbacks in the portal, and Torrence Pride, who's a young cornerback, only going into his third year of college football. As an NFL draft fan, Torrence Pride has been on my radar since his true freshman year. You go back to that true freshman year, 9 pass breakups, 1 interception, played almost 500 snaps for that Clemson defense, and we know how talented that Clemson defense is. The ability to get on the field as a true freshman is extremely impressive for Torrence Pride, and was really excited for him going into year 2. Struggled with some injuries, didn't really stay on the football field consistently in that 2023 season. He ends up hitting the transfer portal largely because Brent Venables was the one who recruited him to Clemson. He obviously left for that Oklahoma job. So there was I think there was an aspect of him just wanting to explore and kind of find a change of scenery, if you will. I don't think this was an example of Torrence Pride not being able to start on Clemson, because you look at the numbers. He's an extremely good cornerback, was a former top 40 national prospect coming out of high school, and is the number 2 cornerback in the transfer portal, according to 24/7 Sports. I'm very excited for a guy like Torrence Pride. And you look at the talent they had in that back end, guys like Chris Abrams-Drain. You feel good about Torrence Pride kind of coming in and plugging in some of those holes. And I would even argue that Torrence Pride, as a top 40 national prospect coming out of high school, has maybe a higher ceiling. And this is a guy that, as a true freshman, I put him on my draft board for the years down the road because he has every trait you want. Very fluid athlete, can mirror receivers when that football is in the air. 9 pass breakups as a true freshman. He's comfortable playing the football. Torrence Pride, I think, if he stays healthy, is an instant impact maker for the Missouri Tigers on the defensive side of the football. And we'll talk about a few other targets, but I kind of want to take a second and admire the job Coach Drink is doing at this program. Like, you have a 10-2 season, one of the more impressive seasons that we've seen from this Missouri program in a long time. And what he's doing is parlaying that success on the field onto the recruiting trail. Obviously, you land a guy in 5-star Willings Winery in the 2024 class, a few really good gets, and they're trending for a few other guys to close out the cycle. And then you look at what they're doing in the transfer portal, landing 2 of the top prospects that are available in the transfer portal at positions that they wanted to address. And so to have success on the field and then balance the recruiting in terms of, yes, we're getting guys at the high school level into the program, getting them developed, but also supplementing that with high-end transfer portal additions, that's the recipe. You look at the programs like Georgia and like Michigan, they're going to recruit at the high school level, develop those guys, and then use the transfer portal to go get high-end players to kind of round out and fill in this depth chart. It's exactly what Coach Drink is doing. The talent acquisition is there. The development and the play on the field is there. If you're a Missouri Tiger fan looking at the success of this Missouri program, like, you got to be really excited. Now, 2 other guys I want to quickly mention as top targets for the Missouri Tigers. I'm going to go to the offensive line spot and talk about Monroe Mills. And you see the hometown, right? Columbia, Missouri. He goes to Oklahoma State out of high school after being kind of a guy that flew under the radar from the high school recruiting trail. He ends up transferring to Texas Tech at Texas Tech this last year. Faced 500 pass blocking snaps, only gave up 15 pressures and 2 sacks. And it is very hard. And I thought Missouri did a really nice job last year in the transfer portal on the offensive line. I think most fans know, that it is really hard to get starting caliber offensive tackles in the transfer portal because there's not that many of them, and there's a lot of teams that are looking for them. And if you can land a guy like Monroe Mills who has that 12 games of starting experience at the tackle position, at the Power 5 level, and has played at a high level, and you can go add him to this offensive line, if you're a Missouri fan, you're certainly looking at Monroe Mills as a potential option. Another guy that is going to be taking a visit to the Missouri Tigers, Aeneas Peebles from Duke. He's a defensive lineman that 13.5% pass rush win rate from the inside. A little bit of an undersized guy at 6'1", 280 pounds. Really good first step. Really good at winning at the point of attack. Would be a nice addition to add some depth and talent to that defensive line. I think we're going to see Coach Drink get aggressive in the transfer portal. And I think you're going to see a little element of selective buying, right? Because you have a roster that's really talented. There's not many. I don't know if many Missouri fans who've been longtime listeners, about 6 months ago in the summer months, we said this Missouri team could be surprising a lot of people because they're a complete team. Like, you look up and down that roster and say there is not many holes that the Missouri Tigers have. And you can say the exact same thing heading into 2024. So you're using the transfer portal just to supplement a few spots that you want to add to either some depth or quality experience to. But this roster is really good. So you're going to see Coach Drink get aggressive in the transfer portal, kind of go big game hunting, if you will, and try to add some top players at premium positions in the transfer portal, but not necessarily needing to go out and get 25, 30 guys in the portal because this roster is already there. So if you're a Missouri fan, really excited about Torrence Pride, Marcus Carroll coming into the program. This is going to be a fun program to watch. Obviously, things are picking up on the recruiting trail. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. I'll be doing my best to keep you guys as updated as possible for the Missouri Tigers and the roster moves. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate the support you guys have shown the boys, and we'll talk to y'all later.